Okay, so welcome back. And Wireshark is doing its monitoring thing here, really. But the port 3128 will actually allow the filter for the port 3128 will actually allow us to see who is connecting to us. And this is the source IP address, which is mine, so I can see where it is. So I can see that I am connecting on 3128. But since I applied all these filters, I don't think I can see anybody else doing it. It doesn't matter. These were just the filters to basically narrow down your search, but I'm gonna go ahead and delete these and just leave 80 and 443. Now I can see that the source IP address will usually be the source IP address will be either the IP address of my server or the IP address of the person actually requesting certain content on port 80 or port 443 through my server or the service itself. So it's going from 46.101, 153, 159 to 54, 200, 125 somewhere. Let's go down to the bottom. So I have no idea what this is. This is going to 5254. Let me just. I I really don't feel like looking at what other people are doing on the net, but I just want to like go and find myself. Here, there we go. So one of these IP addresses will be me for sure, because I don't know the IP address of the site. That's why I can't filter it. And as you can see now, I just made a request with my browser for a site. It's Fedora Magazine. And somebody who is controlling the proxy, if you're using your proxy to hide yourselves, to anonymize yourselves, can actually see all this information bunched up here. And I know how this looks like to you. You're going to say, Ermin, this looks like a bunch of digits and some random characters. Well, you are correct, except for the fact that they're not random. There is meaning to them. You see the address, it says 209.132.181. I can just open up my browser and I can, because I know it's port 80 and port 443, I know for a fact that these are either web server, these have to be some sort of, that these are usually some sort of websites. So I don't know the domain, but doesn't matter. I can type in 209.132.181.15. Let's say that one. Okay, so it says unsecure connection. You should never actually do this. I'm dead serious. But I'm just going to go ahead and add an exception to the rule. But seriously, do not do this. I don't know why, but it seems that the Fedora that there's been a problem with the HTTPS. I clicked accept because I know where I'm going. If you don't know where you're going, or if you don't know the site, don't accept it. Anyway, so now you see where people are going. So you can actually see live what websites are people visiting and where it is that they're going, what sort of services are they using, just by looking. And you can even log these entries. You can just say like something. Well, when you try to stop it, you're gonna get an option to save, but you even have like create a button based on the current display filter. No, when you try to close this, you're gonna get an option to actually save it. So now you can actually see what sort of websites are people visiting. So this is something that the person controlling the proxy can actually see. They can see all the sites that you're visiting, they can see all the places that you are going, and they can log all the information that they want. You have no way of knowing whether the information is being logged or not. And on top of that, if you are using a proxy, you usually will be using a proxy from your home connection. Most of the source IP addresses on port 3128 on the server will actually be home routers. So somebody will have your current home router IP address. And I know that I've stated before that they are dynamic, but they don't change really for like a period of 3 months or something like that unless you actually manually reset the router or go into the router and ask for a new DHCP lease. So somebody will then be able to see the IP address and they will be able to like look your router up on the net and attempt to access it. And home routers don't have the best of protections in the world, so it doesn't take a genius to actually break into one of those. And from that point on, they can actually put you into the they can do a lot of things. First of all, they can change the DNS servers and they can monitor all your URL requests, and in such a way they can have your IP address forever, even if it does change. They can put your PC into the DMZ of the router, so your PC would be exposed to everything out there from all the traffic coming from outside and onwards. So that's not the subject of today, but I'm just telling you what sort of information does a person controlling the proxy actually see. They see your IP address from which you are coming, they see where you are going, and they see what is that. They have the address of the place where you went, so they can just open it up in their own browsers and they can actually have a look at what you are looking at the same time. Things you cannot do. So for example, you have, okay, so it says here TSL version 1.2 application data. So there's bound to be some data here, but you cannot actually see this data because it's basically encrypted application data, and you won't be able to see any of the login details or anything like that. On the other hand, if the request is basically an HTTP request without the encryption, you'll actually be able to see a little bit more. Let's go to Linux questions. And there we go. So this is going to be sufficient. If, for example, the connection is HTTP and not HTTPS, you can actually just take a look at here and gain a little bit more information than before. Chunked response, data chunk, data. Okay, so maybe I didn't pick the right one. Let's go ahead and that's JavaScript. Get questions. Let's have a look at this one. Okay, there you go. So it says full request www.linuxquestions.org, questions, clients, vbulletin, lightbox, etc. And I even have the cookie here. So you can even see somebody's cookies. If you have the cookies, you can easily log in or pretend to be them. You get to see more information overall. You can even get the passwords and all that. But I figured I won't show that because most of the sites are HTTPS, and I'll show the HTTPS stuff, and I'll really omit the HTTP stuff because it's trivial. It really is trivial. I will focus on the SSL encryption and what can we do about it. But anyway, that's about it for the tutorial. That's it for the proxies. That's all I'm going to show for the proxies. I've shown you how you can connect to one, how you can use one, and how you can set up one, and what the person on the other end can see, and how you can set up your own proxy honeypot where you can monitor, where it is possible for you to monitor traffic of pretty much everybody else. Although please be warned, if you have a public proxy which is open to use for everyone, you will be held accountable in all likelihood for all the traffic that occurs through that proxy. Anyway, gonna bid you farewell and hope to see you in the future tutorials.